Good evening. Welcome to another reading of 1001 Nights. My name is Saman Gerard and I'll be hosting you this evening from my humble home. And the music in the background is provided by Mr. Kamyev Sadiri, who's playing the tar. And let me fix this a bit. Oh God, tech at home is really the worst. See what I got? And so, tar is Kamyev Sadiri, and the oud is played by Asna Burton Azad. I hope I said that right. We would like to give you some huge thanks and gratitude. Many of you tuned in to our last special reading at the Palais Hansen Kempinski, which was only a few nights ago. I think it was on Saturday. And we are so thrilled and so excited to let you know that our last special reading at the Hansen Kempinski has reached nearly 99,000 people in the world, and we have had more than 67,000 views on the video. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It is so rewarding to be supported, and thank you for your positive feedback and all your messages. We are going to respond to all of them. Just give us a little bit of time, because right now it's just Joanna and me. We would like to thank once more the Palais Hansen Kempinski for providing us, for housing us actually for our reading at the beautiful, beautiful hotel. A huge thank you to Tiberius Vienna. They provided us with the wonderful clothes. And of course our team members Kamyev Sadiri and Bijan, who are providing us with the music, the original soundtrack to our beautiful project 1001 Nights. I am going to start reading in a moment, and for those of you who have not listened to the stories before, this is a love story. It's about Prince Kamal al-Zaman and Princess Budur, and they fall in love with each other and are separated by jinns, and separated for a very, very, very long time, yet never gave up on each other. One day Kamal al-Zaman finally finds Princess Budur. They get married right away. Nobody wants to waste time. And you would think that's when the story is over, but it's not. Because one day while she was asleep, he's watching her, and she's so beauty and lovely, and his lust and love just redoubled. He starts caressing her, and he puts his hand to the band of her trousers where he finds a red jewel. And he wants to examine it, so he goes out to the broad daylight. And as destiny wants it, a bird comes in and snatches the jewel from him, and he runs after the bird. And guess what? He can't find his way back home, so him and Budur are separated yet again. And currently Kamal al-Zaman finds himself in a garden, living with a gardener, waiting for a ship to come to transport him home. And that ship, of course, only sails once a year. So this is where we're going to continue the story, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. Let's see where we're at. Oh yes. Okay. Oh my God. Now when it was the 214th night, she said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when Kamal al-Zaman raised the trapdoor, he found a winding stair, which he descended, and came to an ancient vault of the time of Ad and Tammuz, hewn out of the rock. Round the vault stood many brazen vessels of the bigness of a great oil jar, which he found full of gleaming red gold. Whereupon he said to himself, "Verily, sorrow is gone and solace is come." Then he mounted from the souterrain to the garden, and, replacing the trapdoor as it was before, busied himself in conducting water to the trees till the last of the day, when the gardener came back and said to him, "O my son, rejoice at the good tidings of a speedy return to thy native land. The merchants are ready equipped for the voyage, and the ship in 3 days' time will set sail for the city of Ebony, which is the first of the cities of the Muslims. And after making it, thou must travel by land a 6 months' march till thou come to the islands of Khalidan, the dominions of King Shahriman." At this, Kamar Zaman rejoiced and began repeating, "Part not from one whose wont is not to part from you, nor with your cruel taunts an innocent mortify. Another so long parted had taken heart from you, and had his whole condition changed, but not so I." Then he kissed the gardener's hand and said, "O my father, even as thou hast brought me glad tidings, so I also have great good news for thee," and told him anew the discovery of the vault, whereat the gardener rejoiced and said, "O my son, 80 years have I dwelled in this garden, and have never hit on aught, whilst thou, who hast not sojourned with me a year, hast discovered this thing. Wherefore it is heaven's gift to thee, which shall end thy crosses and aid thee to rejoin thy folk, and foregather with her thou lovest." Quoth Kamar Zaman, "There is no help but it must be shared between me and thee." Then he carried him to the underground chamber and showed him the gold, which was in 20 jars. He took 10, and the gardener 10. And the old man said to him, "O my son, fill thyself leather bottles with the sparrow olives which grow in this garden, for they are not found except in our land, and the merchants carry them to all parts. Lay the gold in the bottles, and strew it over with olives, then stop them and cover them, and take them with thee in the ship." So Kamar Zaman arose without stay or delay, and took 50 leather bottles, and stored in each somewhat of the gold, and closed each one after placing a layer of olives over the gold. And at the bottom of one of the bottles he laid the talisman. Then sat he down to talk with the gardener, confident of speedy reunion with his own people, and saying to himself, "When I come to the Ebony Islands, I will journey thence to my father's country, and inquire for my beloved Budur. Would to heaven I knew whether she returned to her own land, or journeyed on to my father's country, or whether they befell her any accident by the way." And he began versifying, "Love in my breast they lit and fared away, and far the land wherein my love is pent. Far lies the camp and those who camp therein. Far is her tent shrine where I never shall tent. Patience far fled me when from me they fled. Sleep failed mine eyes, endurance was forspent. They left, and with them left my every joy, wending with them, nor find I peace that went. They made these eyes roll down love tears in flood, and lacking them these eyne with tears are drent. When my triste spirit once again would see them, when pine and expectation but augment, in my heart's core their counterfeits I trace, with love and yearning to behold their grace." Then while he awaited the end of the term of days, he told the gardener the tale of the birds and what had passed between them. Whereat the hero wondered, and they both lay down and slept till the morning. The gardener awoke sick and abode thus 2 days. But on the third day his sickness increased on him, till they despaired of his life, and Kamar Zaman grieved with sore grief for him. Meanwhile, behold, the master and his crew came and inquired for the gardener, and when Kamar Zaman told them that he was sick, they asked, "Where be the youth who is minded to go with us to the Ebony Islands?" "He is your servant, and he standeth before you," answered the prince, and bade them carry the bottles of olives to the ship. So they transported them, saying, "Make haste thou, for the wind is fair." And he replied, "I hear and obey." Then he carried his provant on board, and returning to bid the gardener farewell, found him in the agonies of death. So he sat down at his head and closed his eyes, and his soul departed his body. Whereupon he laid him out and committed him to the earth unto the mercy of Allah Almighty. Then he made for the ship, but found that she had already weighed anchor and set sail, nor did she cease to cleave the seas till she disappeared from his sight. So he went back to whence he came, heavy-hearted, with whirling head, and neither would he address a soul, nor return a reply. And reaching the garden, and sitting down in cark and care, he threw dust on his head and buffeted his cheeks. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Now when it was the 215th night, she said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when the ship sped on her course, Kamar al-Zaman returned to the garden in cark and care, but anon he rented the place of its owner and hired a man to help him in irrigating the trees. Moreover, he repaired the trapdoor, and he went to the underground chamber, and bringing the rest of the gold to brass, stowed it in another 50 bottles, which he filled up with a layer of olives. Then he inquired of the ship, and they told him that it sailed but once a year, at which his trouble of mind redoubled. And he cried sore for that which had betided him, above all for the loss of the Princess Budur's talisman, and spent his nights and days weeping and repeating verses. Such was his case. But as regards the ship, she sailed with a favouring wind till she reached the Ebony Islands. Now by decree of destiny, Queen Budur was sitting at a lattice window overlooking the sea, and saw the galley cast anchor upon the strand. At this sight her heart throbbed, and she took horse with the chamberlains and nabobs, and riding down to the shore halted by the ship, whilst the sailors brought bulk and bore the bales to the storehouses. After which she called the captain to her presence and asked what he had with him. He answered, "O king, I have with me in this ship aromatic drugs and cosmetics, and healing powders and ointments, and plasters and precious metals, and rich stuffs and rugs of Yemen leather, not to be borne of mule or camel, and all manner of ottars and spices and perfumes, civet and ambergris, and camphor and Sumatra aloes wood, and tamarinds, and sparrow olives to boot, such as are rare to find in this country." When she heard talk of sparrow olives, her heart longed for them, and she said to the shipmaster, "How much of olives hast thou?" He replied, 50 bottles full. But the owner is not with us, so the king shall take what he will of them. Quoth she, "Bring them ashore, that I may see them." Thereupon he called to the sailors, who brought her the 50 bottles, and she opened one, and, looking at the olives, said to the captain, "I will take the whole 50 and pay you the value whatso it be." He answered, "By Allah, O my lord, they have no value in our country." Moreover, the shipper tarried behind us, and he is a poor man. Asked she, and what are they worth here? And he answered, 1,000 dirhams. I will take them at 1,000, she said, and bade them carry the 50 bottles to the palace. When it was night, she called for a bottle of olives and opened it, there being none in the room but herself and the Princess Hayat al-Nufus. Then placing a dish before her, she turned into it the contents of the jar, when there fell out into the dish with the olives a heap of red gold. And she said to the lady Hayat al-Nufus, this is naught but gold. So she sent for the rest of the bottles and found them all full of precious metal and scarce enough olives to fill a single jar. Moreover, she sought among the gold and found therein the talisman, which she took and examined, and behold, it was that which Kamar al-Zaman had taken from off the band of her petticoat trousers. Thereupon she cried out for joy and slipped down in a swoon. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. That was it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the story. Joanna will be continuing tomorrow night. I'm sending you much love, great sleep, sweet dreams, get some good rest, and as usual, remember to go inwards instead of outwards. Thank you for tuning in. Much love.